background. When I first got your link from the Sophia McKenna story, it was amazing. I was like, okay, who are these people and how did they find us? So could you guys give me a little bit background on the other projects you do, to a little bit of background on how you came together and collaborated to create Missing on Long Island, and, you know, a little bit of that backstory.
The reason why I created a show called Missing on Long Island, I had like an epiphany. I woke up and I was like, you know what, there's not enough missing person cases on the media talked about, and especially in Long Island. We don't get enough media. So I was like, I want to create a show. I have a show called Tea Talk that I've been doing for a few years, and I wanted to kind of test to see if I can do an investigative crime series. So I got a bunch of people that went to Suffolk Community College. Shout out to us. I wanted us to see if I could pick some creative people that have a like-minded like me and is ready to work. And I created this team, which is amazing. So Lorianne, shout out to Lorianne. She has Long Island Missing on the Facebook page. And I was like, what cases should I, talk about? Because I wanted to see if there was even a Facebook page about missing people. And I was like, oh, do you have any cases? She's like, yeah. The first case she actually told me about was the Jennifer Poole case. But I'm like, there's no media coverage of this. I'm like, I don't know who she is, what went on. So we did the Sophia McKenna case. So she's from Connecticut. So I'm like, oh, I got to drive all the way to Connecticut with my team that barely knows me, but we got to make this work. So we actually went to Connecticut, and we shot that episode. It came out so well. It really shocked us. Like, we did that? Like, just a bunch of, like, college kids that just got out of college a few years ago and created such a masterpiece. And, even the animation that Jason did, the editing Anthony did, and the script writing that Sabrina did, along with our narrator Chuck, just made the show that much better. And just using our resources, this is only funded by me. And people think like, oh, what network is this on? Or what is, we're trying to make it that way. But when I wanted to do the Jennifer Poole case, I saw your podcast. I'm like, Discarded. I'm like, that sounds so cool. Where is she from? Because I was just like, I'm like, where is she from? Who is doing this? Because it's not her sister. And to see that you created this about last year. We're talking about summer of last year. So that was when it was it was in the air, and you created your first episode, and you talked about I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, this is the first woman that actually came out and wanted to talk about this. And that's why we definitely reached out to you and was like, we need to do this case, because it just blew our minds.
And I think the timing was perfect when you reached out to me for that, because initially, if you saw the first episode, it wasn't even an episode, it was like a 5-minute intro that I had released, and that was in May. And then Christine was going through it, right? She was not in a good place to actually talk about the case or even deal with the case, so we kind of dropped it for a bit. And then a week before you reached out to me, she was like, let's do this, I'm ready. And I was like, okay. And then you had reached out, and I was like, it's time. All right. I said, we have to continue what we were doing. So it was perfect timing.
Exactly. That's why we had to jump on it. And to bring more awareness, this was Christine's first in-person interview. You've actually got her first spoken interview. The media never reached out to her. They never asked her about what happened to her sister or anything like that. I mean, Nancy Grace did cover the story, which was an excerpt in one of, I think, episode 2 or 1. It was in one of your episodes. But we definitely wanted to shed light to the show.
Yes, definitely. And the thing about Missing on Long Island is, since we are only funded by Tiana, we are all just a bunch of graduated college students who enjoy broadcasting, enjoy our major, and just all are very passionate about what we're doing. But we also are doing this for the right reasons. We want to give people somewhat of the closure, but kind of get these names out there. Get like Sophia McKenna, Jennifer Poole. We want to get these people's names out there because there wasn't enough media coverage. And that's just our main goal. But hopefully through Missing on Long Island, or if you're listening to this podcast right now, you can go to our Facebook page, contact us, and let us know if you have any other inquiries about missing on Long Island. That's just kind of what we're about, and we want to get the word out there. And it is only Long Island because we are based in Long Island and we love our community. So that's kind of like what we're coming from.
And that's great. I think that's why our collaboration is aligning so well, because I think our mission is somewhat aligned. Two, this is not a paid project for me. This is something that I'm doing for similar reasons to you, trying to bring exposure to cases that have never been given media coverage, or if they was given any media coverage, not much. And not that we are going to solve every case that we touch, but at least we can tell the story.
Yes. And just like what we were saying, there's a lot of people out there that on YouTube or whatever who just talk about theories. Our main thing is we want to actually talk to the people, not talk about them. We want to talk to their families. We want to get to know them on a personal level and really see what it's like to be in this situation and try to be as sensitive and helpful as much as we can. We can't give you everything, but what we offer is an ear to talk to, you know?
Agreed. I think that's great. And so tell me, when you started the McKenna project, the Sophia McKenna, and then you've started working on the Jennifer Poole story. So far, what has been your most rewarding experience doing this project?
Definitely my most rewarding experience working on, especially with the Sophia McKenna case. I just thought it was definitely being involved in the show was just rewarding to me, because it was the first time I actually got to show my content to others. And I think like when I was on the shoot, I would do all this B-roll and with the, recording the footage of Michelle McKenna, which is Sophia's mother. I just thought it was a really great experience for me to be in my field, and I really do enjoy creating this, and it sheds light in the end. It brings awareness, and it's a good feeling, I'm being involved in my field, and I'm also making a difference in the end.
That's awesome. That's great. Now, on the flip side, what has been the most challenging part of not just creating a show, but specifically creating a show based on missing people?
I think I've never been a scriptwriter professionally before. I have experience in script writing from school, but I'm also not a crime buff like Tiana. Tiana is a huge crime buff, which is this is her vision. I'm here to just help create her vision, which I wholeheartedly believe in. But the hardest part for me is kind of double checking and triple checking the research and making sure that we're not misinforming anybody. Right. And I think that's my biggest challenge personally, because editing wise, I think Anthony and Jason definitely got that on lock, and Tiana's vision and making sure, but it's just making sure the information is correct and just creating the story and making it flow and definitely stating the facts, but also making sure it's interesting enough for people to watch the 20 minutes, That's definitely a hard challenge for me. I don't know, Tiana.
Yeah, that's definitely a hard challenge. Another hard challenge for me as well is getting feedback, especially if it's even negative feedback. So, with the Sophia McKenna case, it was a lot. It was a lot going on with that case, because, we went into the show this is going to be great, but then we have to also think about how the families are going to react, and also think about, we don't want no surprises on our episodes going forward, protecting people's identity going forward. And I think that a lot of creators should definitely hear that, from us, and especially from you, because that's what we have to do in this case.
There's definitely a fine line between what we can legally do and ethically do, and I think we wholeheartedly go into this process with a lot of integrity and try to make sure that we are representing these people correctly.
Absolutely. Same. And that's why I mentioned my last episode, or the second episode, that I'll be omitting names. And I do have additional information that people have given me, and a lot of it, like you said, couldn't verify as fact. So I'm not really in the business of going out there and just stating an opinion because somebody said it. I want to have, like you said, go into it with integrity, go into it with what I can based on facts, and try to be as responsible as I can with also trying to be true to the mission of getting, the story out and having people listen and focus and, start to pay attention to what has been and what I call the show discarded. So watching the Sophia McKenna story, I was just so impressed at how you guys put that together. So when Tiana was like, hey, is it okay if, we work on this story? I was like, absolutely. Because you guys did, you said it before, like you surprised yourself. You guys were amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate that.
So and you kind of explained this already, how you picked the Sophia McKenna story, but out of all the stories that you could have picked, why was the Sophia McKenna story the one that you chose to be your first one?
I picked this case because she went out on a boat with her friend. Her friend was found dead. She was never found. And that right there triggered me. I'm like, no, we have to figure out what could have happened, who was there. We need information. We need lighthouse cameras. We need everything. She might be on the other side of the Long Island. You never know. People that are watching from out there in Southold Police Department. They went out on Memorial Day weekend. There was actually a video of them going out that night. And it was just so many unanswered questions. This case was on Reddit. So they were trying to figure out what happened with her ex-boyfriend. It was just a lot of things leading up to her disappearance, which was a little bit awkward. We looked at what everybody said and was like, okay, maybe this, trying to bring scenarios of what could have happened. But it was just, a girl our age going out and, she's a beautiful girl and she just never came back home. And her friend was found dead. It just didn't the story still doesn't make sense. She's still missing. I think this year makes like 2 years. So it's still, still sad. But we wanted to do something that was kind of recent. Because we do, Jennifer went missing. It'll be 10 years soon.
It will be. Mm-hmm. It's going on 10 years in April.
I know. That's crazy. So we wanted to bring it back a little bit. But also, in the future, we want to do kids. We want to do different races, different backgrounds, different everything. So we can, shed light on to a lot of people who went missing. Also, we definitely do understand, human trafficking, gang violence, sex trafficking. Like, all this stuff can also be a possibility. The Sophia case, we just didn't know.
Right.
At all. So that was, in Jennifer's case, we still don't know. But we do have a lot of information of how she was before. And if somebody has information, I live, not that far from Big Shore.
I know. So when you said that, I was like, this is perfect. This is perfect because I think that it hits home because this happens in our backyard. And I think that so many cases are forgotten. And for you to start this YouTube show, because there are plenty of podcasts out there that cover missing persons cases. A lot of podcasts are narrative podcasts. They find a case in Wikipedia and they talk about it and then they leave it. So when I was doing this, I was like, I want to do something a little bit different. Well, I'm no Payne Lindsay. I wanted to have that investigative piece. And then when I saw you were doing something similar and you were bringing a visual to it and doing a documentary, the collaboration was just, I think, seemed natural, and I think it is just such an amazing vision that you have, and I can't wait to see what you guys are going to continue to do. Now, I know that, Tiana, you are the crime buff, so my question for you would be, if there is one single case that you had to solve or had to cover, what would it be?
Well, I just watched Don't F with Cat on Netflix, and I promise you, I so would have been those people. If I wasn't in high school 10 years ago, I would have been one of those people trying to figure out who is Luca Magnotta. If you guys didn't see it, sorry guys. If you guys didn't see it, everybody's seen it over here, but I'm just saying it was, if you're listening, it's something like that. I would so love to solve a case like that. That would have been like my dream case to solve. That would have been victory. Like I hope the governor would have gave me the key to the city because of that. Because I would have loved that. Like that would have been. I like missing person cases because there's always a mystery behind it. but murder cases,